I'll begin adding my main branches, and once again, do not try to make them too straight because we want them to look very natural. As I add my main branches, I am going to add branches to those. Remember to go thinner as you go away from the tree. The trick to the branches is adding branches on top of branches, and try to keep them organic looking. What I mean by that is don't make them too straight, but rather add curves to them. Then once you feel that you have plenty of branches, it is time to shade in your tree and give it a feeling of texture and depth. So if you notice, I drew a knot on the trunk of my tree. So I want to emphasize that knot, and I'm going to do so by going around and contouring around the knot of that tree. I want to start by imitating the look of a trunk. So I'm going to start drawing lines up and down my trunk very softly. Continue also adding the lines to the branches. Follow their shapes. You could add more branches along the way if you need to. Begin by knowing where you want your light source to come from. That should be the lightest area of your tree. I will also be emphasizing where the area has less light. It is where I'll be layering some extra lines there, creating a darker shade. Keep in mind that wherever your light source touches your tree, it will be lighter, but sometimes some of the branches will create a shadow because it may be blocking the light source. Once I'm done, I'll use my mechanical pencil to add darker and sharper lines to give my tree more texture. If you don't have a mechanical pencil, don't worry. You could either use a sharper lead pencil like a 5B or 6B or a very sharp pencil point. I will continue adding more shade away from my light source. Now that the shading is completed, I'll take my pencil and using the flat part of the lead, I will make my leaves. Gently press the flat part of your pencil around the top part of your branches and move it around, making leaves. As you do that, you could then start lowering the pencil to different areas. Doesn't have to have a branch there. This is also a great time to add some additional branches where they are needed to fill in the tree. I also like my tree to have some branches stick out a little more than others to make it more natural looking. In some of the areas, you might want to add a little extra pressure to your pencil to add some contrast. Don't be afraid to add leaves below the branches and around the lower part of the branches as well. There are two ways of doing this. You could just add some leaves randomly around the tree on the lower branches, or you could add some branches and then add the leaves to those branches. Add some shading below the trunk and some grass, and then add some final touches and you should have a beautiful oak tree. Now let's start on a tropical tree. I'm going to draw a palm tree. Once again, try not to make it too straight. Start a little wider on the bottom and slightly thinner as you move toward the top. Try not to draw your palm tree too perfectly straight. Remember, trees in nature are not perfectly straight. A little trick to adding the palm is to draw a circle around the top half of your tree. Then draw the branches from the top part of your tree around the circle area. Once I've done that, I'm going to add the palm fronds, pointing them toward the end of the branches on both sides. Continue doing this to all the branches. Allow the palm fronds to follow the natural curve of your palm tree branches. Once you completed adding all the palm fronds, you want to start shading the trunk of your palm tree. Keep in mind where your light source is going to come from. Begin by adding horizontal lines randomly along the trunk from the bottom to the top. Make some shorter and some longer. Space them out randomly. Once that is done, begin shading along the trunk. Now add some extra shading away from the light source. So you want to do that in the darker part where the light is not hitting the trunk. The trick to shading is not pressing harder, but rather layering over the already shaded area you want to be darker. Once your shading is completed, go ahead and add some ground and some grass. This will help the tree look like it's not floating on your paper. Now take your mechanical pencil or a darker, sharper pencil and add more palm fronds to your palm tree. I just want to layer over the ones that are already there. You don't want to overdo it, you just want to add enough to create depth and texture. Now we're going to take our mechanical pencil and we're going to do the same to the trunk. We want to add those horizontal lines. We want to randomly add them to give it again the depth and texture that we need to make this tree stand out. Now we've almost completed our palm tree. Go ahead and add some final details. Now I'm going to take my graphite pencil and very lightly add some final details to the trunk. So now we have completed 2 trees, and I hope this really helped you out, and hopefully you could apply some of these tips to your next drawing. If you like this video, please give it a like down below and subscribe to see more video demonstration by Art Connection.